When we talk about prison abolition, it's important to talk about recidivism here in the United States. And when we talk about prison abolition, it's important to talk about which prison we're talking about and where. Because prisons are different all over the world. And they may not be as different for some people as we want them to be, however, they are different. And the differences is what we're going to get into is the difference between prisons in the US and in Scandinavia. And when we talk about prison or crime and punishment in the US, it may mean something entirely different in another country. So when we address prison in the US, what we're looking at is a 68% recidivism rate. And what that means is a recidivist is somebody who is a convicted criminal that reoffends after they leave prison, and they do it repeatedly. So they end up going back to prison. And in Sweden, after they implemented a prison and probation service that refers to inmates as clients and says its emphasis on rehabilitation reduced recidivism, it reduced recidivism from 42% to 29% over the course of 16 years. So when we look at rehabbing, we're looking at not multiplying the punishment, not condemning the person, not labeling them. And even in the language, we see that they say clients as opposed to criminal. And there's the evolution of words and labels that have been put on black people, indigenous folks, and people of color in the US has evolved. You can find, by and large, too, the word criminal. And that goes on your record. That then puts you in a system that people benefit from, directly and indirectly. And that's how our country works. So when we talk about prison abolition, if prison is working, or if it's supposed to be here, why is the recidivism rate so high in the US? So, and I'll just say it flat out, because the recidivism rate is at 68%, over half the people that leave prison end up going back to prison, is saying that prisons don't work in the US in the first place, and that crime and punishment, the way that we see it, needs to be massively transformed. Massively transformed. Even the way that we do it in our day-to-day lives. As people in the US, condemnation is such an easy thing to go to. It is so simple. Well, in therapy, talk about condemnation as one of the four horsemen. We don't condemn the body. We don't condemn the body. We condemn the behavior. We say, hey, that's got to go. And it would happen all the time in middle school. As a kid growing up here in the Twin Cities, they take black kids and kick them out. Like, get out of here. I don't want to deal with your behavior or your body. Get out of here. And so then we'd be condemned. And it is a form of prison in a sense, because it's saying, you can't be here, go somewhere else. And it starts from there, the school to prison pipeline, as you've heard before. But touching on rehabilitation, punishment is easy. Happens like that. Now it's going to last for 25 years, 15 years, 10 years to somebody. But the act of punishing somebody is a very swift and easy maneuver for a system to do. Put them away. Workhouse, prison, whatever it may be. Rehabbing, rehabilitating, or committing to working with somebody. Hey, I see you as a human. I want to work with you, and I don't want to see you back here. I don't want to see you back in punishment or prison. Let's work to get your life better on track where you want to be. That takes work. That takes a lot of work. So the question to you is, when we talk about rehabilitation, you may not work in a prison, you may not work in a system like that, but what can you do in your day-to-day to proactively support rehabilitation in your country, in the US if you're watching that here, and supporting a future that does not profit and expand upon punishment, but a system that expands upon rehabilitation and finding and decreasing recidivism, making sure that people don't go back to prison or to these buildings that we've created that completely condemn human beings.